Officially start our meeting. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Batchelor, would you lead us, please?
Yes, thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll address item B, approval regular session minutes of August the 11th, 2021. Board, we've received these in advance. Is there any deletions or corrections?
None.
None.
Hearing none, call the roll for, or need a motion for approval, please.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes. Moving to item C, we have a presentation this morning. Ladies, would you like to come up to the podium, please? This morning we have a presentation by Holly and Ingrid Erickson, and they are from the Clermont County Heritage Builders 4-H Club, and they were the senior team communications contest, and we're proud to have Ohio State University's extension with us this morning. And girls, thank you. Can you first of all tell them what happened after your competition here? Where did you go next?
Then we went to State Fair, and
What happened?
we were able to win the clock trophy there.
Very nice, very nice. The floor is yours. Thank you.
On October 3rd, 1918, during World War I, the 77th Battalion under Major Charles Whittisley was completely surrounded by both enemy and their own troops. Both of these were firing, and the latter was completely oblivious to their presence. One by one, they sent out their messengers until there was only one left. Their last hope, Cherami. This American homing pigeon flew 25 miles in 25 minutes and successfully made it to her home loft despite being shot to the eye, the chest, and the leg. As a result of this, she saved the lives of 194 men. Cherami was awarded the Croix de Guerre and engraved on the Lost Battalion Memorial. After she died, less than a year after her heroic flight, Cherami's body was stuffed and placed in the Smithsonian Museum, where it remains to this day.
On October of 1943, during World War II, the British were struggling to take the city of Calvi Vecchia in Italy. Thus, they scheduled an air raid for October 18th. But the very morning of the air raid, before the bombers had come, the Allied troops managed to take the city. Unfortunately, this was unknown to both the headquarters and to the pilots. The bombers were taxiing up and down the runway, and it was 5 minutes before takeoff, when G.I. Joe, an American homing pigeon, swept in, flying 20 miles in 20 minutes, carrying a frantic message to call off the air raid. He saved over 100 Allied soldiers and an untold number of civilians. He was awarded the Dickin Medal for, quote, making the most outstanding flight by a U.S. Army pigeon in World War II.
This was the last war in which homing pigeons were used as a widespread form of military communications.
Soon after World War II ended, Signal Pigeon Corps in America, in 1957, disbanded, and pigeons fell out of use.
And out of memory.
Good morning. My name is Holly Erickson, and this is Polaris.
And my name is Ingrid Erickson, and this is Cassiopeia.
We're here to inform you about the two main ways that homing pigeons were used in World War I and World War II to save lives and help win wars.
These two main uses were military communications and intelligence gathering. Let's get started with intelligence gathering. There were two main ways that pigeons were used in this field. The first being they were sent into enemy territory with professional spies, who would then send them back with any intelligence they had gathered. The second is that pigeons were sent into enemy territory alone, in hopes that villagers would find them and use them to resist. 16,000 British-trained pigeons were given to the secret pigeon service, and then dropped in fields in Nazi-occupied Europe, in hopes that villagers would resist the Nazis. Though many rewards were offered for turning in pigeons, and punishment was threatened for even being found with one, a handful of villagers still took the chance to rebel. The aforestated messages ranged from Nazis providing false information to British spies sending gathered intelligence to incredible wealths of information from civilians, like Operation Columba's Message 37. Message 37 was sent by a group of people known as the Leopold Vindictive, who are pictured on the slides. The Leopold Vindictive was comprised of a skilled artist and priest named Joseph Raskin, the Debye brothers, and Hector Joy. They gathered 12 pages of hard intelligence with maps and fit it onto 2 tiny pieces of rice paper. This was message 37. The message made it all the way to Winston Churchill, back in Great Britain, and though they requested more pigeons, none were sent. So they had to resort to the more dangerous methods of sending their intelligence through British spies and radios. 3 of the 4 men lost their lives after making the transfer from pigeons. The Leopold Vindictive was by far one of the most important groups of people involved in the secret pigeon service. But let's move on to our winged heroes. The first of these is Kenley Lass. Kenley Lass is known as the first pigeon to deliver intelligence from Nazi-occupied France. And though she was held in the country for 12 days and released after this time, she successfully made the 300-mile flight in less than 7 hours. She was awarded the Dickon Medal in 1945. The second pigeon, Scotch Lass, was sent on a British mission to the Netherlands and hit a telegraph wire right after she was released. Though she was injured, she successfully delivered her message to her home and was also awarded the Dickon Medal in 1945. So many pigeons were used throughout war in the secret pigeon service, and without them, both World War I and World War II might have been lost.
As well as being used as a way to gather intelligence, pigeons were used as military communication. In World War I, this would be because they were the most reliable and fastest method. In World War II, however, they would be used for primarily 3 reasons. Firstly, they would be used when all else failed, similarly to the way cher ami was used. Secondly, they would be used in case of an emergency. Thirdly and finally, they would be used when radio silence was a must, on stealth operations or something like D-Day. These birds were specially trained to return to their lofts fairly normally, just after long distances, but some learned 2-way flights. Something like this hadn't been done before. But my first pigeon example is Winky. Winky was aboard a Royal Air Force bomber that crashed into the North Sea. The crew was stranded over 100 miles from land, and they released Winky, who flew 120 miles over both sea and land. She arrived in her loft, and the owner alerted the Royal Air Force to set up a frantic search. The entire bomber crew was saved. They owed their lives to Winky's swift flight, and she earned their gratitude and later the Dickon Medal in 1943. The next 2 pigeons I'll talk to you about were the Duke of Normandy and Patty. They both flew for the same reason, when radio silence was a must, and they both flew on D-Day. One flew at the beginning and one at the end, but they were both vitally important. The Duke of Normandy was with a group of paratroopers who were sent to disable the Merville Battery. This battery was overlooking the beach and barraging the troops there. Once they disabled it, they sent news through the Duke of Normandy back to Great Britain. Though his time was not the fastest on that day, he was the first to arrive back with any news of the battle. Because of this, he was awarded the Dickon Medal on January 8th, 1947, publicly on television. The second pigeon, Patty, is certainly the more notable of the 2. All England held its breath, waiting for news of the battle. And on the beaches, the remaining soldiers released hundreds of pigeons to let them know of the good news. Then the first pigeon came in. Patty was the fastest pigeon who flew on that day and was credited with bringing in the news of D-Day's success. She was awarded the Dickon Medal on September 1st, 1944.
As you may have noticed, the vast majority of pigeons we have introduced you to today won the Dickon Medal. Believe it or not, exactly half of the 64 recipients of the award were pigeons. It was given to them for gallantry in warfare.
Though we say gallantry or heroics, the pigeons don't exactly realize the cause they fight for, or even the bravery needed to wing across war-torn skies. Those are human concepts.
Indeed, the pigeons fly for something much simpler. Tamer. Something I believe we can all relate to an extent. The love of home.
This love of home drives them,
It causes them to achieve incredible things.
and sometimes it even kills them.
Thousands of pigeons have flown for their homes in war, and some lost their lives because of it. We hope that the next time you get the chance to see a pigeon, you look on these courageous and determined birds in a new and better light.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our speech today. May we answer any questions?
No questions, but thank you, Holly and Ingrid. I had the pleasure of having you over at the fair this year, part of our 4-H clubs, and this is a wonderful tribute to our younger generation. This is our future. These are our future leaders. And ladies, Congratulations on your Ohio State trophy. Thank you for coming in. Let's do a picture. Come on up, Russ.
Yep.
Smile pigeons. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here.
And for all the people who are here today that, learned something new, how many people knew anything about those pigeons being used in a time of world warfare? Anybody here?
A little bit, not as much.
I mean, specifically about that? So, they always say that you can't teach old people something new. You guys were successful. Absolutely.
Anybody else want to pet it? I had to. I was like, okay.
Just ask, this one's 2 months and this one is 4?
Commissioner Corcoran, thank you for assisting us in the demonstration contest that day.
Oh, my pleasure every year. It's wonderful. What a great education. Thank you, ladies.
Thanks, girls.
That one's done.
Next on, isn't that a cool story? Next on our agenda is a presentation by USI Clermont County Public Employee Benefit Renewal, Steve Ferguson and Susan Stockman.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Yvonne Smith from the Human Resources Department Benefits Coordinator. I'd like to introduce you today to our brand new benefits consultants, USI. And with me today I have Steve Ferguson, Vice President of USI, Michelle Missler, who is our account representative, and Susan Stockman, also VP at USI. And I'm going to
Thank
go
you.
ahead
Yeah.
and leave it.
So I really appreciate you having us today, and probably more so, we really appreciate you giving us the opportunity to serve you and to serve the citizens or the employees of Clermont County. And it's honestly, it's a real honor and a privilege to do this. I've been a Clermont County resident for over 30 years. Been doing this work for probably a little over 35 years. So, Susan, you want to get started?
Yes, absolutely. Good morning. So I guess I was watching them, so I'm thinking this is how I get the screen to go down. So, oh, there we go. All right, so we hardly ever go anywhere without an agenda. So we do have an agenda for us and for you. So this will keep us on track. So as you can see, we did our introductions. And I do want to share with you, this is my favorite page. So when I do meetings, I love this page. This page right here really distinguishes us from some of our competitors. And we're really proud of this page because we have a very extensive team. And all these people right here, and I'm not going to go through all of them because we are on a time limit here, but they all will support the county. So they will support the county as well as your members. So we're very excited about this page. Okay.
This is just a real quick snapshot of who USI is. USI serves 500,000 clients across the country. We are actually the second largest broker in the country. And that's all. The only reason that's important is because we do a lot of renewals every year. If you can imagine, we've got 500,000 clients. We do 500,000 renewals every year. And as you can imagine, people who do a lot of things tend to get better prices and better terms than people who don't do as many. So that's the only reason I bring this up, is that we're able to leverage the size and the client base to better serve Clermont County. Oh,
I will be his Vanna.
okay. So this is just a quick snapshot of the preliminary renewal. And we say preliminary because these numbers really don't get finalized and probably until we get claims through August. And so I'll just go through a couple of things I wanted to point out. The first thing is that you're going to hear a couple of terms, expected and actual. And so the first term that we want to focus on is something that's called expected cost. And expected cost is something that's really determined by actuaries. They look at your claims, they look at everything else that's going on, what the medical trend is, and says, this is what we expect your costs to be in this next year. And so you can see the number that's highlighted there. It says total annual expected cost for current right now was expected in 2021 to be $14,035,000. And so that was the expected cost for this year. You're actually running quite a bit better than expected costs in your actual cost, and so we'll go into that in just a few minutes. So we received an initial renewal, and again, the initial renewal is just initial. It's something that will be finalized as soon as they get claims. They have now claims through July, and they will have, once they look at August, we will close everything out by August. The initial renewal was pretty positive. We came in total amount, you can see on total expected, at a 1.9% increase. That's driven by a couple of components. So if you look up above, you see stop loss. And so stop loss is one of the ways that the county protects itself against large claims. And so currently you have stop loss in today's that protects you on very large claims that occur. And so the initial stop loss number came in at about 17% of an increase, or about $160,000. Now, I'll let you know, I'll bring this up in just a few minutes. We have a proposal on the table for several alternative stop loss, and the best alternative today takes that 17% down to 3%. And so we're hopefully going to leverage that or actually recommend a change to that stop loss to bring that down. That with a 0% increase in the cost to administer the plan through United Healthcare, the total fixed cost comes into 10.1%. With that alternative stop loss I talked about, that takes that down to about 3% in terms of fixed cost. So if we are able to use the alternative stop loss, which we hope we are, that 1.9% probably comes down to a little less than 1%. So that's kind of the summary. I talked about the difference between expected and actual. If you look down at the bullet point, you can see that your claims are currently running at 73% of the expected number. So that is a great place to be. Your cost per employee right now runs about $10,600, which is 15% lower than where you were in 2020. Just to kind of a snapshot of where other employers are today in Ohio. The average employer per employee cost runs about $14,500. So you are running below what the average where most people have today. Currently, there are no large claims. A large claim is defined as anything over $250,000. You had several last year, so none so far this year. And as I mentioned, we have other stop-loss proposals. Thank you. So this is just a snapshot of your actual claims experience. And so if you look at number 5, which is the number I tend to focus on here, number 5 says, when you look at a per employee per year increase, you're running today about 15% lower than last year. So that's a great place to be. And so we always look out on a per employee basis simply because you have fluctuations in employees that occur. So that kind of normalizes it from year over year. And so that's one of the areas. One of the other points is on number 8. You can see that your actual number of employees in the plan actually dropped about 2%, which is not really that significant. All right.
Okay.
Steve, before we leave that page,
Sure.
just a question on that.
Yep.
And I assume you were looking at the experience summary there.
Yes.
72%, 72.7% claims variance to expected.
Yep.
Can you explain that number?
Sure. So if you look at the expected claims for this year, and again, this goes through June. So through June, we expected $6.3 million worth of claims. That would be medical and pharmacy claims. Your actual net claims meaning minus any stop loss, but we haven't had stop loss, is $4.5 million. So if you take 4.5 divided into 6.3, you come up to 72.7, which is you're running at 72% of expected claims.
Okay, thank you.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did.
Okay, good, thank you.
Next
Hold on.
page. 2 more.
This is why I never made it to Wheel of Fortune.
So this page actually shows the impact that COVID has had on Clermont County. We received this report from United Healthcare. It's actually taking information from April of 2020 through August the 12th. So to date, there have been 198 confirmed cases of COVID. 59 have tested positive, 155 tested negative, and 813 were unknown results or inconclusive results. To date, they have noted that there have been 197 vaccines. However, we have to mention here that this would only be those that actually used their insurance card when they got the vaccine. You know, many people went to clinics and other locations and didn't use the insurance card, so we feel like this number is pretty low. There are a lot more than that probably in the county. As far as the pandemic and the confirmed cases, of those, 26 had an emergency room visit. If you look at the bottom here, 14 of those had an inpatient visit in the hospital, 1 with an ICU visit, and none were on a ventilator.
Yep. All righty. So the preliminary renewal results that we have so far, and we talked a little bit about already. So USI went out to 12 different stop-loss carriers. You currently have an extended contract with United Healthcare that carries into next year, so we didn't look at another administrator for this. But we went out to stop-loss carriers because stop-loss carriers to me really doesn't affect employees at all. I can change stop-loss carriers. There's no impact for the employee, and so they don't really know. It's just a way to protect the plan financially from this. Again, we talked about a couple of things. There's a 0% increase in the fee that's paid to United Healthcare. That actually represents about a little less than 5% of the total cost, so kind of gives some perspective on that. The stop-loss we talked about, which is right now there's a 10% increase in the stop-loss premium, so that today represents a little over 7% of the total cost. The big number, of course, is the claims cost, and so we actually have our actuary who develops where the claim cost should be in the next year, and so they've expected that there should be about a little less than 1% increase in claim cost, and actually claims represent about 88% of the total cost of everything, so it kind of gives you some perspective on it. Again, as I mentioned, when you look at the new stop-loss proposal, if you added the total fixed cost today would go down to about 1.7%, and so that is hopefully where we're going to end up when it's all said and done. So a couple of things, the experience summary through June. Right now, if you took 6 months and annualized it, it would mean that your total medical cost should be just a little under $11 million compared to $13 million, which was in actual cost in 2020. Your per employee cost, as we mentioned before, is $10,600 compared to $12,600 in 2020. And again, we mentioned that the national average and the Ohio average runs about $14,004. So it's very good the way it's going, and there are no claims so far. So the initial proposal, this kind of gives you a little bit more detail. I'll go through this with probably not each individual, but you can see that some of the terms that we look at. Of course, your current renewal is with United Healthcare. Your stop loss is with a company that's called Voya. We actually looked at 2 best proposals that are out there. We actually have a proposal from a company called Optum, which is owned by United Healthcare, but they do it separately, and a company called QBE. Both are A+ rated companies, and they have no problem with it. Your stop-loss deductible today runs at $250,000. That means that if you have a claim that exceeds $250,000, it's the stop-loss company's responsibility, not the county. You do have a laser today, and a laser is a specific liability that's applied to Clermont County for one particular claim. You have one claimant that's a large claimant. They expect that claimant to continue into the next year, and so the stop-loss company says we're going to set that aside, and that's an additional liability that the county pays for that one person. We don't know if that's going to continue into next year. Right now you have the laser, so that's why it says TBD. A couple of other things here. We do have what's referred to as a laser waiver, and the laser, again, is that specific liability that the county has. All of the contracts that we've negotiated says that if you should have a large claim in 2021, in other words, a very large claim, that they would expect to continue, the insurance company cannot put a specific laser on it. So it's an extra protection that we put in the contract. And so that's where, and we have what's called a rate cap. So a rate cap means they can only charge so much in terms of the stop loss premium. So if you look at the next page, this is actually the detail for it. You'll see the 0% increase in the administration. You'll see the specific stop loss, and today stop loss has the stop loss has an increase of 17.6, and we do have a 3% right now preliminary proposal from the QBE. When you look at total fixed cost, which is what we know you're going to be responsible for paying, right now the fixed cost increase is 10%. And with the alternative proposal, we're down to 1.7%. When you look at expected and maximum costs, I'll point out a couple of numbers. Your expected cost today is $12.5 million, and I don't have a pointer to point that out, but you can see all the way down below where it says annual expected max claims. You'll see a number that says 12.57. If you look at the maximum cost, it says 15,682. The difference between expected claims and maximum claims means that we expect your claims to come in at 12.5. However, if all of the claims added together were to exceed 15.6, it's a second level of protection for the county that says you would not pay any more claims beyond that level. So that's, you have two protection. One is anything over $250,000, and the second one is anything over $15,600,000 in total aggregate. So you can see when you look at total cost today, fixed cost, you are at about 0.8%. And the reason why the QBE number is a little higher is simply because they have your expected claim number a little higher, but we'll fix that when it gets down to the end. So all things added up together, let's look down in the blue section. The initial renewal is coming in at expected cost 1.9%. With the alternative proposal, we're at 1.7, but once we fix the expected claims, we believe we'll be probably about a little less than 1%. So,
Steve, just before you get off of that a minute, just kind of explain that to me. I mean, one thing is we're talking expected cost versus actual. And then you've given some numbers there, what that's going to look at. When the claims represent 88% of the cost, which is right, what you said there, it's tough to project what claims are gonna look like.
Right.
So just talk about that a second. What's the data that you use? Because the thing that obviously you gave two numbers there. Well, it's going to cost the county this much money, but if it would exceed this much.
Right.
But the bottom line is the claims are the claims.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like saying I'm going to save you a bunch of money, but I don't know what the real cost is. And for me, that says, well, projections. So give me some confidence that your projections and the data that you use is really even close to being accurate.
Right. So, that's a great question. There's a couple of components when they look at expected claims. The first thing is what you look at is something that's referred to as healthcare trend. Healthcare trend today runs 6 to 8%. What does that mean? Healthcare trend isn't what insurance companies charge more. It's what we expect medical providers, doctors, hospitals, labs, everything, to charge more into the next year. So we know, based on the data, with all of the stuff that we have nationwide, that if somebody were to have an operation in 2021, that we know that the expected cost increase for that same operation will be 6 to 8% higher in 2022. That's one of the components. The second is, where's the trend on your claims? And so your claims are trending down compared to where they were. So what will happen is what our actuary will go in and say, based on the claim trend where we're going today, and based on the actual medical trend, where do we expect claims to come in for the next year? And so that's where they come up with the number.
Give me a second, we'll just talk about last year. We'll just talk about
Sure.
COVID. No one could have ever projected that people were going to be in the house sequestered for
Right.
16 straight months and weren't going to go to a doctor.
That's right.
And that telehealth was going to become even up on the radar.
Yeah.
So when we say that we trended below costs last year,
Right.
well, I look at that and I go, well, I kind of can figure that out. Nobody went to the doctor unless you were sick, because no one wanted to walk in a hospital or in a doctor's office to get exposed to something. So now if we come out of this, or if we go back in it, if we stay back in it, I would say that our expected costs will be pretty close. If we come out of this, I would think our expected costs are going to skyrocket from people going to, is that taken into effect,
It is, and actually, I actually represent probably 30 some other clients, some big, some small, and we're seeing large increases in claims for 2022. Why is that? Because you're right, claims were suppressed in 2020. What we've seen with other companies is that they've opened up and had larger claims in 2021. That hasn't happened with the county. The county is different than what we're seeing in general experience. Normally, we're seeing that the claims that were postponed or suppressed come back in 2021, and we've seen that happen with a lot of companies. And as a result, they expect some of that to continue into the next year. That just didn't happen with the county. And so between our actuary, our medical director, the claims analyst that we look at, the trend that we're seeing shows that it's probably going to be just about flat for the next year. So that's how we came up with it. Yeah.
Okay.
Good. So it's a great question. So I appreciate that. So the area that's getting a lot of attention these days is pharmacy. Pharmacy is something that people have kind of overlooked for a while. And what's happened is the explosion of something that's referred to as specialty drugs has caused people a lot of attention. Clermont County is not, it has experienced the same kind of impact on specialty drugs that most groups have. Right now, just to kind of give you a perspective that's not on here, but in Clermont County, we have less than 1% of employees and members, family members, that are taking a specialty drug. However, specialty drugs represent almost a little less than 50% of the total pharmacy spend. Now, is this going to go away? No, it's not, because you see these drugs on TV at night. Most people don't realize that the average cost of these TV drugs probably run between $3,000 and $10,000, a month. So it's very expensive, and it's just going to get worse over time. So what we need to do is we need to come up with a way to better manage this program. So let's talk a little bit about the program. So currently, prescription drugs represent about 35% of your medical claims. The national average that we see out there is about 22%. So that shows that you're trending higher on your prescription drugs today. And it was the same as last year. Last year was at 31%. So you have a large group of people that are taking prescription drugs. I mentioned specialty drugs represent about a little over 50% of the total pharmacy expense, and your current pharmacy expense today runs about $1.8 million, annualized close to $3.6 million, and you're right on line with where we were in the prior year at $3.8 million. Right now, employees pay about 12% of the pharmacy cost, which is up from 9% in the prior year. And drug rebates, which, if you know how pharmacy works, is you pay the cost of the drug, then 6 months later, the pharmaceutical company will issue you a small credit back for purchasing that drug. And so the credit that we received for 2020 is $1.2 million. And so there's always a 6-month delay. We just received the fourth quarter rebate just in June. So it's that's typically how it happens. The key, and I think one of the key pieces here is that we would rather take the position not to pay the specialty drug and not to get the rebate. So there's some programs that we're looking at, and we presented some yesterday, that actually have some pretty significant savings to it. So once we get that finalized, we'll be bringing it to HR and then presenting it to you guys. So there's one thing that's out there that's called a Manufacturer's Purchasing Assistance Program. So I think everybody today has heard the commercials. If you watch any of the commercials on TV, at the end of the commercial, what does it say? It says, if you can't afford this drug, contact such and such, and we will help you with the purchase of this. So that's available to people who don't have coverage for this. But what's happened is some pharmacy benefit managers are taking advantage of that provision, saying, we will go out and apply, do some financial application with the individual. If the person falls in that area, it can reduce the cost of the drug for the county as much as 70%. Now, with that, you lose some of the rebates because you're not paying the full cost, but you're also not paying the full cost of the drug. So that's a direction that we're going into. And there's also a couple of things too. We're seeing that the authorizations of the drug today with Optum runs pretty high. And so we think that there should be better management of that in some areas where if a person's taking a drug, there may be a cheaper drug that could be recommended to that person. So, all right. Any questions on that before we go forward? Okay, good.
Hey, now let's talk about the dental renewal and results of the marketing. We issued RFPs to 7 different insurance companies. Your current provider is Dental Care Plus, and they've agreed to no increase for next year. However, members in Clermont County have expressed concerns about the Dental Care Plus plan. There have been a lot of providers that are no longer in the network. They've had customer service issues, and there have been problems in claims payment procedures. So we came up with 2 favorable proposals, one from Delta Dental and one from MetLife, and both are offering improved benefits, better in and out of network coverage. They're also adding dental implant coverage and providing discounted rates beyond the annual maximums. So this page actually shows the specific benefits. So the first 2 columns are Dental Care Plus, the current plan, then the renewal for 1 year. And then the next 2 columns, there's Delta Dental and MetLife. In the blue are the differences, and the big things about the new benefits that they would offer is the implant coverage offered under major, and then there's also on the orthodontia. Right now you have a lifetime maximum of $1,500. Once somebody reaches that, that's it. But with the Delta Dental or MetLife plan, that would reset next year. They would get another $1,500. So we feel like that would be a great benefit for Clermont County. Also today, there's no benefits under a non-network dentist, whereas with Delta Dental and MetLife there would be, and it would be comparable to the in-network coverage. The rate guarantees are also better with Delta Dental and MetLife at 2 years, and there's a 6% rate cap on the renewal with MetLife. The next page actually shows the monthly rate comparison. So as you can see, Dental Care Plus would be no increase. Delta Dental is a slight increase of about 5%. However, you have to remember that payroll deductions are on a semi-monthly basis, so it's a really slight increase for employees. And MetLife is actually a decrease of about $26,000. And then at the very bottom are the network dental comparisons. So the first column really is the most important. The overall access, which would mean 2 providers within 10 miles. MetLife provides 100% to your employees. Delta Dental about 95%, and Dental Care Plus was about 96%.
Question, just before you
Sure.
you change, you just showed that the MetLife option is about $25,000 cheaper.
Correct.
And just a question, and I know this may sound like a crazy question. We all like to save money, but by the same token, dental health and medical health is, something that's near and dear to me as far as when you apply it to employees. Mm-hmm. Have you ever taken a look at that and said, okay, we're on track here to save $25,000. If we were to stay at the same cost, but we go with MetLife, what could we get for that $25,000 that would enhance that program for our people who are going to use those benefits? And I throw that out just to let you know that, that's something I like to see once in a while, is that, well, yeah, we can save you this money, but by the same token, if you're willing to reinvest this money, MetLife can provide, maybe something different than this $1,500, orthodontist deal, or,
Yeah.
I mean, those are things that, really make a difference to employees.
Sure.
Any of you that have had, 3 kids that you made that $100 payment, a month for the next 30 years to pay off your kids' orthodontal work.
Yeah, we feel like those increased benefits would be great for the county. I mean, a lot of people have children with orthodontia, so.
Right. I mean, I'd just like to see a proposal that when there is a big cost savings like that, $25,000, well, we could reinvest this $25,000 and go with, and I'll just throw it out there, go with Met, but have even more and better benefits. This is what that can bring to you. That,
Yes.
and I know we can't do that today. I'm just,
Yeah.
thinking about it. That's all.
I mean, MetLife and Delta Dental are both great dental providers. So really, you couldn't go wrong with either one. I don't know, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, the one thing that makes the difference, I think, between Delta Dental and MetLife is really the number of dentists that are available in the area. That's really the key. I mean, if somebody they get a little bit of a savings, but they find that their dentist may not be available, sometimes it's kind of sour grapes, and something like that. So I think that what you'll find is that Delta Dental is probably one of the largest dental providers. They've got more dentists in this area probably than MetLife. And so you have to kind of weigh, there's a savings with MetLife, but there are probably more dentists available with the Delta Dental program.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, moving forward, we're going to talk about the vision. So we went out to 8 different carriers and asked for a vision proposal. We're currently with IMED. We're at a 0 increase until 2022. However, we did get a really good proposal from VSP, Vision Service Plan. They actually offer increased benefit allowances, which is really nice, a decrease in premium, which we really like, a benefit allowances that are based on wholesale cost versus retail. So again, that makes your money go spread out a little bit more, and we have a 4-year rate guarantee. So that's very attractive. So this is what this page looks like. So trying to make it big enough so you don't need a squint. But we did get a proposal from MetLife as well.
You don't need glasses.
Exactly, exactly. So we did get another nice proposal from MetLife as well. But the VSP is definitely, so it's kind of like Dental Care or Dental Care Plus and Delta Dental and VSP. They're actually vision providers, insurance carriers, like for the dental and the vision. So MetLife isn't always really relatively known for the dental and the vision, but the brand for Delta Dental and VSP is definitely out there for your vision and dental benefits. So as you can see here, so the nice thing, again, it's in blue. So currently we're up to 100% to 130, where VSP is giving us to 160. And then we get a 20% off of the balance. And again, the contacts go from 130 to 160, which is very nice. LASIK, we also have a 15% off of any retail or 5% off of the promotion. So that's consistent with what you have today. And the actual, we still have non-network benefits. They're a little bit higher in some places, but then the lenses are actually lower. But again, it's very attractive because we have a 4-year rate guarantee.
Susan, why don't you talk about the difference between VSP and IMED in terms of the model?
So we did at the point here, in the sense he's referring to here about the benefit allowances that are based on wholesale costs versus retail. So that's the really big one right there. So when you think about the VSPs, you go to like the mall, you go see the Lens Crafters, the Pearl Vision, if they're still around. And then where the VSP, you kind of go really to the mom and pops, like the Wing and some of the actual doctor offices, and not necessarily, again, going to the mall to get your glasses. And then this is actually the cost. So again, you can see where we're saving a little less than 1%. MetLife is also coming in less than almost 1%. I'm sorry, almost 9%. I need my glasses there. But again, the VSP, it has a more better brand out there. And I think that's it for, any questions before we go to the life?
One comment just about the glass side of the house is that the devil's in the details when it comes to that. These plans can offer all kinds of things and talk about lenses and frames and the whole 9 yards. But we all know that when you get there to get glasses, that every option that there are on lenses costs money.
Right.
And that what they provide is not what you would buy. And that's when the details, you really got to get into it. The bottom line anymore is that a good pair of glasses is $500.
They are, even with
And
insurance.
even if you get a discount that's $150, it's still a lot of money.
Right.
And it's because, you're older, are you going to have them anti-glare? Are they going to be lightweights? Are they going to be polymer? Are they going to be, all kinds of stuff? And that's one of the things that when looking at programs, I would just have to ask. I just have to know all those details. Because if you don't know the details, it really is just, it's cake icing because it really doesn't apply. Are you going to get to go in and get an eye exam? Are they going to check your eyes for free? Is that paid for? Well, we all know it isn't.
Right.
And then, your whole glass experience anymore is a $550 or $600 day, even with these discounts. So that's really something that needs to be looked at, is that, what are the details, of that? And we can talk about wholesale. For glasses, I even went out on the internet, and had a good prescription. And the lowest that I could come up was $435, when you really get what you have to have,
And I totally agree with that. So for a while there, I was very, I never had vision insurance because I thought I was fine because I had LASIK. So then my husband started needing it. So the first time we went without glasses, I was like, holy smokes, this is really expensive. So I'll tell you what, that next year, that open enrollment, I signed up for vision. And I did save some money. But it was still $400, but it didn't cost me the $700 that I paid the year before.
Right.
So,
It's still a shocker to you, though, because you think you have vision, and like you were saying.
Right, you don't.
well, they take you to the aisle and go, okay, here's your $100 glasses. You're like, well, I'm not wearing those.
Right.
So you're right.
Right, and when you have two people in your family and you walk out of there and you just dropped $1,000.
Easily.
I mean, that's a lot of money on a family.
Right. Right. But I will say it's nice to have that 20% discount off of the remaining amount of the 160 versus paying that full amount, because believe me, I learned 2 years in a row, and the third time I finally got on board and got some vision
I mean,
insurance.
that would be one of the things that I would, encourage our benefits group to really take a look at, is that them to provide those details and know what you actually get for your money. What are you really discounting here?
Right. Yep. Good point.
By the way, you can always buy a car at cost, right? Anybody will tell you that on television until
Right.
you go to the dealership.
Exactly. Well, I like my heated seats, so.
Right.
All right, we'll go into this.
Okay, the life and disability. We issued 9 RFPs out to life and disability carriers. Currently, the county-funded life and disability and voluntary life with Voya has a 0% increase for next year. However, we also looked at the supplemental plans for short-term and long-term disability. It's important to note that this transitioned from KMG to Humana and then to Manhattan Life. And we've heard that participants have experienced significant issues in administration and eligibility challenges to claims. So we looked at Voya as a possible alternative offering. They're offering a lower employee premium cost. We can bundle that pricing with Voya and perhaps leverage that even on our stop loss with Voya if we make a switch. And also there were improved pre-existing condition exclusions for new enrollments. Today with Voya you have a 12-month, which means they go back 12 months from the date of the renewal to see if you've had any pre-existing conditions. With Voya they would only go back 3 months. So we feel like it's a much better contract and something that should be considered.
All right, so we're almost rounding home here. So this is a great page. So we're really excited to roll this out. So we offer all our clients a mobile app, and we're really excited about this. And I think Yvonne's even got some great feedback about this. So it keeps everybody connected. Everybody likes their cell phones, their iPads, but you can actually go online, download this. We're actually on the Apple Store as well as the Google Samsung. So you can go online, you download it, and it brings all your benefits to your fingertips. And on top of this, it's great because you can actually push out notes to your employees through the email here. We have little videos that we can put on there. They're very animated, by maybe 4 or 5 minutes at tops, that talks about, for instance, education. What's a high deductible health plan? What's a PPO? Etc. So there's a whole library that we could actually push out to your employees, but it also has what I call spider legs. So we can do different links. So for the medical, we can do a link to for your provider. You can download your ID card. Nothing is worse when you get to the pharmacy and you don't have your ID card and everybody's waiting behind you. You can just go, here you go, it's right here. So, and again, some people, you know, I like paper, but I've gotten accustomed to this because it's a lot easier. It's very user-friendly. And again, the spider arms I like is because we can give you all the different connections to your other benefits for your, you know, dental, vision, disability, everything. It's all right there. So we're really excited about this. And we can also tell you, too, how many people have actually downloaded it. So that's nice because we can actually keep track and say, wow, you're getting a lot of traction on this. So this is great because communication is very important. Nothing is worse when people don't understand the plan because we're not communicating it correctly. So we have a lot of different buckets of ways to find the best way to communicate. So last year was probably very difficult because nobody came out. Everybody wanted to do everything online. Everything was virtual. Well, you can see here we have a lot of different ways that we can actually touch your members. Now, our communication expert would tell you the rule of thumb is to touch your membership 6 times a year. So that way you're not bugging them too much, like, oh, another email, I'll read it later, or wow, this is really important. So you want to make sure that we kind of maybe stay in line with that. So one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to get with the HR team and really come up with a great, strong campaign of communication. Because again, nothing is worse when your employees don't understand it because they automatically go to the negative and think, oh, we have bad benefits. And let me tell you, you have amazing benefits. You have great benefits. So you can see here we have a lot of ways to touch your memberships and a lot of different components, whether it's in an email, we can do a postcard. Again, we can also do a lot of it through the app on the phone app. We're almost done.
USI also has a Benefit Resource Center, or what's called a BRC. So your members can either call or email them Monday through Friday with their questions about their benefits, something about a claim that they don't understand. If they get a bill in the mail, they can help them with that. It's completely HIPAA compliant and confidential. We've publicized this on the mobile app, and I think it's been included in your newsletters as well. So this is a great resource we want to make you aware of.
And we can also track this as well. So we can give you a quarterly or 6-month review as to how many calls are coming in. And it can also tell you as far as if they're calling about medical, dental, disability. Obviously, it's all de-identified, but it'll give you a good idea what the usage of this is. And if we see a lot of claims or calls that are coming in about the same thing, again, we'll push it out on employee communication to educate those employees.
All right, last slide. Thank you again for your attention, and this is a lot of information. We try to be pretty thorough. We try to educate so that you understand everything that's involved. But we recognize that benefits are probably your second largest expense in the county next to payroll. And, we take that stewardship very seriously, so we want to spend some time to go through that. So what are the next steps? The next steps are we need to finalize the stop-loss proposals. As I said, we believe that they will probably finalize in August for August claims that typically come out sort of mid-September. We will have the preliminary proposals and also what employees pay well before that, and so hopefully it'll be without any big changes. It won't change at all in the process. We're meeting with the budget group to make sure we and the Healthcare Action Committee just to make sure that we deliver final vendor proposals and the employee and county cost share, and then we'll do the board presentation on September 1st and ask for a motion to approve any of the recommendations that we have at that time, and then schedule open enrollment meetings with the HR group and help facilitate those. So, Yvonne, is there anything else that I missed?
No.
Okay, good. Well, thank you again for your time and your attention. We really appreciate working with you, and any other questions we can help with?
Thanks for the presentation.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Next item on our agenda this morning is public participation. Do we have anyone in the audience who would like to do public participation this morning?
I would.
Before you start, let me just read this to you, please.
Certainly.
We've reached the public participation section of our agenda, and now that I know there is someone here who's ready to speak during this time, The board does not answer questions nor engage in debate, and no member of the public may comment about a member that is not within the purview of the county commissioner's responsibilities. The commissioners are not expected to comment on matters brought to the board during this time, and each speaker shall only speak once and shall be recognized by the board president before speaking. And in accordance with our board's rules of procedure, your comments are limited to 5 minutes. Would you state your name and address for us, please?
I'm Greg Kaiser. I live at 504 Old U.S. Highway 52 outside of New Richmond. And I'm here representing Angelo Santoro. I'm an attorney. I represent him. He's here with me this morning. He also is a longtime resident of Clermont County and is a prominent local engineer who's designed many subdivisions and roads in this county. I'm actually following up on a letter that I wrote to the county engineer last month and sent copies to each of you. And on his behalf, I'm expressing concern over the condition of certain roads and some safety issues that attend those concerns. Particularly, we're concerned about the narrow width of roads at Taylor Road, Amelia Olive Branch Road, and Clough Pike between Amelia Olive Branch and Main Street here in Batavia. These are 2-lane roads that are in places as narrow as 12 feet. They're very tight for traffic. There's no median in those areas. There's little berm at all in those areas. And the areas border the airport out here in Clermont County, which experiences some heavy, large truck traffic already. I think also the area has been developed and is continuing to be developed now. There are a number of residential subdivisions, and with the addition of a nearby new high school, I think we'll certainly continue to see more residential subdivision activity in that area with attendant increased traffic. So already what we've seen, I've experienced this, I know Mr. Santoro has spoken to me about it, that there are times that large trucks simply can't pass safely other vehicles that are on the roads in those areas. And that danger is exacerbated as the traffic increases, and some of the traffic goes quite fast on those residential roads. Of course, this creates safety issues not only for the cars and trucks that have to pass one another, but also for those cars and trucks that are behind that traffic. As a resident of this area, Mr. Santoro has seen and experienced those safety issues. I must say that I've seen them as well. The state regulations suggest much wider lanes. The state regs, and I'm not sure that they apply to these county roads, but the state regulations look at 20 feet for these kinds of roads that have this kind of traffic and the speeds that you have on these roads. I know that you've been addressing other traffic and road issues in the county, which has been wonderful, but I'd ask you to study the feasibility of widening these particular lanes of travel and place this issue before the county and the township authorities at their September 16th meeting that's coming up for the safety of our county residents. And that's all of my remarks.
And just for clarification, the 2 roads you're talking about are Amelia Olive Branch and Taylor?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to participate in public participation this morning? Seeing none, we're going to close. We'll do one more item, which is consent agenda, item E. Board, we received the consent agenda in advance. We've had time to review it. Are there any concerns, deletions, or corrections this morning?
None.
Hearing none, call for a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes. At this time, we have a public hearing this morning, so we're going to recess from our regular agenda and move to our 11 o'clock public hearing this morning.
Lyle.
We have a space for the court reporter over there if she needs electricity. Okay, I want to give her a minute. Okay.
I'll try to make it quick.
Chance to set it.
So it is the time and the place for public. So it's the time and the place for public meeting. Right? Third requirement.
I didn't find it out. And when I called to schedule it, I preferred to schedule it. We heard it. We would look into it in the future.
Yeah, I'd ask. Yes, it should.
Yeah, maybe one of us knew, so we're gonna look into it in the future.
Are we ready to go? All right, thank you. Thank you. We are in the Clermont County Commissioner Session Room this morning. This is August the 18th, 2021. The time is 11:05. We are now starting our public hearing. Welcome, my name is Claire Corcoran. I am serving as President of the Board of the Clermont County Commissioners. On behalf of the fellow Commissioners David Painter and Bonnie Batchelor, we welcome you to the public hearing for the Deerfield Road Sewer Petition Project. This public hearing is being held in accordance with Chapter 6117 of the Ohio Revised Code. We have a court reporter present with us this morning to transcribe the meeting and representatives from our Office of Public Information to video for the record. If you have not already done so, please remember to sign in the back of the room. Here's an outline of today's hearing. During this hearing, property owners will be given the opportunity to express objections to or endorsement of the proposed project, its scope, and tentative assessments. Following today's public hearing, written objections to or endorsements of the project will be accepted for a period of 5 business days. So please submit written comments by Wednesday, August 25th, 2021. Any written comments received by this date will be included as an attachment to the public hearing transcript. Approximately 4 to 6 weeks following today's public hearing, property owners will be notified of the time and place where a resolution determined to proceed or not to proceed will be considered. As part of the notice, the county will also attempt to address any unanswered questions or concerns that are expressed at this public hearing. Prior to taking public comments, we will ask Chris Rowland this morning, it was going to be Lyle Bloom, and he's going to be representing the Water Resources Department this morning to give a brief summary of our project. Good morning, Lyle.
Good morning. I'm Lyle Bloom. I'm the director with the Clermont County Water Resources Department.
And Chris Rowland is the Assistant Sanitary Engineer. He's also here. Chris is serving as the engineer on the project and actually completed the design of the project. I'll give a brief description for the project. It consists of approximately 1,101 feet of 8-inch sanitary sewer. It will extend from the Deerfield Point subdivision and run north and south along Deerfield Road to serve 10 properties in Goshen Township. And just for reference, on Deerfield Road, this project area is just south of Woodville Pike. The total project cost is estimated at $290,100. The Water Resources Department is recommending contribution of approximately $28,500 for the engineering, legal, and administrative costs associated with the project. The total basic benefit assessment, which would be assessed to the property owners, is $261,600. There would also be an improvement assessment, which is for our capacity fees for each parcel, that residential home that connects is $3,340 per parcel. The total assessment per parcel, and we're using a per parcel assessment method, is $29,500 and can be assessed over a 30-year period as a special assessment. The petition for the project was received November 13th, 2017. We've had multiple written correspondence with the property owners over the years. To date, currently, of the written responses we've received, 5 property owners are in support, 3 are opposed, and 2 have not responded. There's a total of 9 easements required for the project. Once the resolution determining to proceed or not to proceed is approved, assuming it proceeds, we would then begin the easement acquisition process. That's all I have.
All right. Is there anyone this morning that wants to make any public comments on this project? Mr. Mooney, have you been contacted by anybody in the hall or anyone that wants to talk this morning?
No, no one has spoken to the prosecutor attorney's office about it.
Thank you. Our next, I guess, will be a conclusion unless you have a presentation this morning. Nothing else?
We'll wait for any property owners that can write in, and that will serve as part of the public hearing.
Right. Then we wish to thank everyone for attending today's public hearing for the Deerfield Road Sewer Petition Project. If you choose to submit comments in writing, please remember to do so on or before August the 25th, 2021. We thank you for attending this morning. We're now closing our public hearing, and we're going to go back into regular session at 11:10. We're going to go to item F this morning, which is item number 10 on your non-consent agenda. Item number 10 is a recommendation that the Board of County Commissioners adopt resolution number 139-21, resolving to approve payment to vendors in the total amount of $1,992,714.91 as set forth in the BCC approval invoice report for checks dated August the 18th, 2021. BCC directed prepaid invoice reports and or the procurement card transaction report as presented by the county auditor on August the 17th, 2021. And further authorizing the county auditor to issue warrants for same pursuant to section 319.16 of the Ohio Revised Code. Is there a motion to pay the bills?
I move we pay the bills.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes. Item number 11. Lyle Bloom, is this one yours this morning? We weren't going to let you get out of here that fast.
Okay, item number 11 is a recommendation to adopt resolution number 140-21, resolving to amend resolution number 120-20, which determined to make improvements relative to the construction, operation, and maintenance of project number 6401-60189 relative to the PUB water treatment plant well rehabilitation project located in Pierce Township. This was previously adopted by the board on July 22nd, 2020, and to determine to make the aforestated improvements as set forth in the revised Exhibit A. And to proceed therewith in accordance with the revised specifications and estimates of cost and financing is herein ratified and confirmed, and subsequent thereto to approve the request to re-advertise for bids for the project pursuant to and in compliance with the revised specifications, and to authorize the clerk of the board to place a legal notice in a newspaper of general circulation on Thursday, August 26, 2021, schedule a non-mandatory pre-bid meeting on September 16, 2021 at 10 a.m., with bids to be received until 2:00 p.m. local time on Thursday, September 23, 2021. Here in the Office of the Board of County Commissioners, 101 East Main Street, Batavia, where they will be publicly open and read aloud shortly thereafter, and this notice will also be posted on the county's website. The engineer's estimate for the project is $597,200. The project consists of the rehabilitation and redevelopment of 4 of our drinking water wells at the PUB that serve the raw water for the PUB water treatment plant. And the project, as I mentioned in the motion, was originally bid last year in August. We had 3 bids, none of them were within 10% of the engineer's estimate, so we're back to rebid it.
Thank you. Board, you've heard the recommendation to adopt resolution number 140-21. This is to amend resolution number 120-20. And this was for improvements for project number 6401-60189. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes. Thank you,
Thank
Laura.
you.
Item number 12. Morning, Counselor.
Morning.
The next 2 items relate to satisfactions of mortgages held by the board. Number 12, the first is the recommendation of myself, with concurrence of Mr. Eigel, County Administrator, to authorize Ms. Corcoran, the President of the Board of County Commissioners, to execute a satisfaction of mortgage, certifying that the terms of this mortgage and promissory note secured as dated have been satisfied, and authorizing the recorder to release the mortgage of record for the below listed property, as this property relates to the septic system rehabilitation financing program in concert with Ohio Development Services Agency Small Cities Community Development Block Grant Program. Making a motion to ask the board to release this mortgage from the property.
Board, you've heard the recommendation to execute a satisfaction of mortgage on the properties as listed. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Jason, just before we move on from this, many times we handle issues here at the board. It's satisfying these mortgages, and, just to touch on a second that obviously, we are a county that's very concerned about environmental issues here. There are circumstances where septic systems can't be repaired at the cost of the individual owners, and the county provides a grant type agreement that allows them to have these septic tanks fixed and or replaced, and then it is assessed to, obviously, to their property, and then finally satisfied. Just to, clarify for people who see this come up all the time what it really is about. When and if that isn't done, then abandoned properties become a liability to this county and obviously to the residents, and then have to be abated at a later date. So
It really is a great service. It's important work that we've done. It's a good use of the funds. As you may know, that the cost of some of these repairs can be pretty substantial. And so having a mortgage like this, a loan that can be provided, especially a forgivable loan that can be provided, assuming the person remains in the home, uses it as their residence, and can really take advantage of that. It helps the home property and their neighbors and the community involvement. So it's a good product.
you bet. Thank you.
Sure.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes. Item number 13.
Thank you. 13, along the same vein, is a recommendation of myself, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney, with the concurrence of Mr. Eigel, County Administrator, to authorize the President of the Board of County Commissioners to execute a satisfaction of mortgage, certifying that the terms of the mortgage and promissory note it secures, as dated, has been satisfied, and authorizing the recorder to release the mortgage record for this property here enlisted, as it relates, in this case, to the CHIP program, with the details as outlined below. Separate program, forgivable loan. It's been satisfied.
Board, you've heard the recommendation to execute the satisfaction of mortgage, and this includes the details already outlined. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Bachelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Good day.
Thanks, Stacy.
You too. Item number 14, Mr. Bickford.
14 is a recommendation of Pam Haverkos, our director of our county EMA, with my concurrence, to acknowledge the electronic submission of a grant application for funding through the Ohio Emergency Management Agency, which is a division of the Ohio Department of Public Safety, for federal fiscal year 2021 EMA Performance Grant Program, and this comes through the Department of Homeland Security in the amount of $115,441, with a required local match of the same to be provided from the general fund, for a total program budget of $230,882 for the operation of the Clermont County EMA from October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2022. So this is our annual grant that we get from the state for funding of EMA.
Board, you've heard the recommendation to acknowledge the electronic submission of a grant application for funding through the OEMA, and this is for federal fiscal year 2021 Emergency Management Performance Grant Program. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes.
Commissioner Bachelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes. Item number 15. Good morning, Angie.
Morning. Recommendation of Thomas J. Eigel, County Administrator, to approve the request to advertise bids for the provision of services or facilities for the senior citizens of Clermont County, Ohio, as those persons are defined in the Older American Act of 1965 during calendar year 2022, and to authorize the clerk of the board to place a legal notice in a newspaper of general circulation on August 26, 2021, with bids to be received until 2:00 p.m. local time on Thursday, September 16, 2021, in the office of the Board of County Commissioners, 101 East Main Street, Batavia, where they will be opened and read aloud shortly thereafter. This notice will also be posted on Clermont County's website.
Board, you've heard the recommendation to approve the request to advertise for bids for the provision of services or facilities for the senior citizens of Clermont County, Ohio. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Bachelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes, thank you. Item number 16, Mary Raines, good morning.
Good morning. Mary Raines from the Office of Management and Budget. This is a request to increase the 2021 annual appropriation for general fund for the coroner's office to cover some vacation and sick leave retirement pay. Regular salaries is $20,863, and retirement payout is $7,241. Also $25,000 into the sheriff's policing revolving fund, which is their contract fund for overtime. $600,000 in the health insurance fund, and this is the position monies to repay in advance. And then finally, for the domestic relations court special project fund, in the amount of $4,291 for some Supreme Court appointed judges.
Okay. Board, you've heard the recommendation to resolve and approve the unauthorized changes in the annual appropriation resolution number 191-20 for calendar year 2021. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes.
Commissioner Bachelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes. Thank you, Mary. We finished with our non-consent agenda. Are there any additions to the agenda this morning?
No additions this morning.
Hearing none, moving on to county staff elected officials discussion. Anyone this morning? Hearing none. Member comments. Members, any comments this morning?
Can I make a statement?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, my little crony's birthday is today, and I would like to officially wish Jennifer a happy birthday. And also, a little birdie told me that Commissioner Painter and his lovely wife Carla, the saint, for putting up with him for 42 years today.
That is correct. Today is our 42nd wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Congratulations.
To Carla.
You're not that old.
Thank you.
And happy birthday to you, and happy anniversary to
Well,
you.
you know, we got married when we were 15, so I mean, you know.
Oh, sure, sure.
Yeah. If you want to believe that.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other member comments today? Hearing none, then we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes. That's the conclusion of our session this morning. We will see you next week. Stay well. Thank you for sharing with us today.